prize winner is Jesse Nadell.
On behalf of People's United Bank, Wealth Management and Trust, I would like to congratulate you on your success. Excuse me. Glasses up for you. Sorry about that. And very pleased to give you the check for $1,000.
So Jesse, you can ask your award-winning question now. And after that, we'll go to asking the audience to participate.
Thank you very much. Mr. Epstein, you have stated that there are 3 reasons to abolish the Fed: recession, inflation, and war. Recently, the U.S. has been caught up in both war and recession and may be poised for extreme inflation in years to come. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have been extremely costly to the U.S. taxpayer. Additionally, the current recession is one of the worst the U.S. has ever seen. Given the severity of these issues, one would surmise that you are currently in favor of abolishing the Fed. Assuming this is true, what would be your proposed alternative to the current system, and how would you go about unwinding the Federal Reserve without causing further damage to what is currently a fragile economy?
Well, the first prize question did mention war. And it is interesting that if you look at the cost of the Iraqi war, and if you look at the degree to which the Federal Reserve enriched the pockets of the Treasury, it was about in line. The expansion of the money supply more than covered the cost of the Iraqi war, and that makes a difference. I mean, if you suddenly declare war and at the same time tell people taxes are going to be raised, I admit it's ironic. You know, your sons are going to die. That's okay. Taxes are going to be raised. Well, that could be a problem for many of them, particularly since these days we no longer have a draft. We no longer have people forced to send their sons to war. But when people feel it in their pocketbooks, there might be a little bit more objection to this war of choice that we fought in Iraq, rather than the war of necessity that it was claimed to be. It was hardly a war of necessity. So the Iraqi war is another example. The Vietnam War, which I opposed when I was a kid, was another example of war being financed by money and the expansion of money by the Federal Reserve. Now, with respect to the key question that was asked, the fragile economy we're talking about is indeed fragile. But if there were a will, if there were an understanding, and again, we never know how radical change will happen. In 1835, you would have been laughed at if you were told that an institution that's lasted for thousands of years is suddenly going to be abolished in a matter of 30 years. That's slavery. Slavery was pretty ubiquitous in North and South America. The outrage that in the modern era that government doesn't have to raise money through taxes or through borrowing, but of course borrowing is going to be limited if it only comes from taxes. Once that outrage is understood, then maybe there will be a perception that we want the Fed abolished, as long as there's an understanding that the free market, just like the market can pretty much set the price of goods and services, it can set the interest rate, and the money supply does not have to expand all the time. For it, by the way, the prices and wages can decline gradually, which is what happened in the late 1800s rather. Price and wages decline slowly. That's what would happen in a stable money society. But with respect to the question asked, it was more or less anticipated by the other questioner. We would make the transition by making sure that gold, copper, and silver were pretty much in line with the money supply, because the only thing that Bernanke is doing that has to be done is to maintain the money supply pretty much at the same level, so that we don't have a wrenching deflation. If we make the transition to gold and silver and copper without a wrenching deflation, by just making it equal to the money supply, pricing gold, silver, and copper in relation to money. I know I'm speaking in broad brushstrokes, but that's my assertion, which I think can easily be backed up. Then we can make a smooth, reasonably smooth transition at any time back to the people's money, which is gold, silver, and copper.